Now, did you ever own any?
Yeah, I owned quite a few. I was thinking the other day, I probably owned about 20 and never touched one of them. Paid a trainer to do all that. And I never won anything. If I'd have won something, I might have got on the track and patted it, but I never won anything, so I never got the opportunity. Never touched one of them. My brother had a couple of good dogs and he won a few things, but I never did.
You said you were never a punter. Were you a punter when you were an owner?
No. 20 quid. I was a joint owner and we'd all have 20 quid each or something like that. No, I'm not a punter. I don't see, I get no thrill out of tossing coins and all that. I did maths when I was at college, and you can't convince yourself that that the mathematical probabilities are wrong, because they're not wrong, you know.
So we're going to finally then we're going to say for anybody that probably still people out there that quite fancy being a bookmaker. So what should they not do? What makes a bad bookmaker?
Well, I always think and thought that wanting to be a bookmaker, it's a business choice, you know, and you've got to learn it. You really have got to learn it. I had an uncle, and this is the reason that I'm a bookmaker, not because of my dad. My dad was. I had an uncle, and he was the guy who introduced my dad to bookmaking. My dad didn't know anything about greyhounds. He never did. Even when he retired, he still didn't know anything about greyhounds. But my uncle was brilliant at maths. He said to me, Tom, he said, Uncle Bert Lamb, his name was. He bet in the name of Bert Lamb. He bet everywhere. A big fat man. And he had a cafe in Leighton. As you leave Leighton to go into Woodford, there's a cafe on the left called Lamb's Cafe. That's still called that, and that's Bert's Cafe. He's my Uncle Bert, and I worked for him. I used to work for him at Hackney, and because although it was my dad's pitch, Bert used to bet on it. Why did Bert bet on it? Because he was shit hot. That's why. He'd come out of the bar, tea bar. He didn't drink. He'd drink tea. Have a cup of tea in his hand. He'd have the tickets in his hand, he'd have a piece of chalk in his hand, and he'd have a cigarette. Now, it's hard to do that. It's hard to master all that, and Bert used to do it. And they'd been betting for 3 minutes, 4 minutes, they're going into the traps. They hadn't even priced up. Say to Bert, tell him what had happened. The trap one's been 4-1, it's now 9-2. The favourite's been 6-4, it's now even. And he'd price up, and he'd price up there. And he'd bet that one, rub that off somewhere. Didn't play big, couldn't get a big bet with him. That was his weakness. What he thought was a big bet wasn't even a big bet, you know. No way could you get a big bet off of Bert. He'd go, bet away. And I used to clerk for him. It was quick. And he should call the bets out terrible. And I used to clerk for him, write them all down. And the bell would ring, he'd rub down and go back in the tea bar. He never watched a race in his life. Right, and let's say on an ordinary Thursday afternoon at Hackney Wick, we'd take 120 quid on the race or something like that. Could have took a lot more, but that suited him. He wasn't skint, and he wanted to win. He'd come out the tea bar. The next race is about to start. I paid out everyone and all that, and he'd say, "How did we go on that, Tom?" I said, we won 18 quid on it, Bert. He'd look at me and he'd go, no, you're wrong. We must have won more than that on it. I said, I'll go over the figures. Not hard, is it? Got to add up 6 columns and then take away what we paid out. 18 quid. I said, Bert, sorry about that, you're right, we won 22 quid in it. He didn't need me. He'd done it in his head. He was so clever. So clever with the maths. He wouldn't know a ground if it bit him. He was so clever with the maths. And he never watched a race. What's he want to watch a race for? Another race? another 6 dogs racing round. I don't know anything about any of them. Yeah, he was mathematical genius, he was. Not a genius, mathematical genius, that's stupid. But no other bookies were that good. Some of them were pretty good, but none of them were as good as Bert Lamb. And if any of them were still alive, them old timers, you ask them, he was brilliant. He was brilliant. But you didn't have to be brilliant. You didn't have to be brilliant. You know, if you could shoot like Ronaldo, you haven't got to be able to run like Messi, have you? Give him the ball and he'd vote it in the back of the net. Messi has to run past 7 men to do that. But you don't have to be that good. But you have to know the theory of it. Lots of bookies, modern bookies, well there ain't no modern bookies, but even when I was around, a lot of the bookies didn't really know the theory of it. It was all about favourite, stand it, or not stand it. It's very, very basic. And that's why a lot of them didn't make it pay. You can't just paint the prices on the board. It's a lot more subtle than that. But Bert was so subtle it wasn't true. Punters didn't even know. Didn't even know. Punters don't know. You know, how many punters have been playing roulette? How many punters know the chances of it being evens and red? You know, they don't know. They just hope it's going to be evens and red. No, it's but why do we have to educate them? You know, I don't know.
But the secret of your uncle then was he just basically worked on the maths and they would look after themselves throughout the afternoon.
Brilliant at maths, yeah. He didn't know anything about dogs. He had a calf. But he was brilliant at dogs. I said to him once, I'm a bit short-staffed tonight, Bert. Well, I felt a bit sorry for him because he used to be the boss and all of a sudden he was a workman. Because me and John didn't need partners. He was one of them bookies that had 7 partners, you know what I mean? Ridiculous. A lot of them did that, because he had no... I won't say he didn't have any bottle, Bert, because he was not... I liked him a lot. But, so one night I said to him, one day at Saturday morning, I said, Bert, what are you doing tonight? I said, couldn't come over and walk myself, could you help me? I'm really, really short of staff. Yeah, and he drifted over there. Of course, as he walked in, everybody said, Bert... He hadn't been to Bookmakers for 20 years, you know. They all knew him. And I wanted him to keep me up with the prices. And he was a big fat man. And he used to come running and say, Tom, they took the 7 or 2 tap 1. Well, I know that, I just see the tic-tac. So, thanks, Bert, thanks. Go back and keep me up with Dougie's prices. What I wanted to say was, stand right in front of him because you're so fat, no one will be able to see his balls. But I didn't say that. But I love Bert Lamb. So I bet on one race. It was late in the piece. And he came in and said to me, I can't remember the betting. He said, they're betting you 29 to 1 on the front 3. That's how good he was. 29 to 1 on the front 3. I still don't know what prices they were. Yeah, he was in a different league. Never lost. I used to work for him. I used to work for him and then with him at the Wick, at Hackney Wick. And I say we hardly ever lost.
So the moral of the story is not to have any opinion, just to work to get.
If you're good at that, yeah. If you're good at that, if you can shoot like Ronaldo, shoot. But you don't want everyone shooting because half of them can't shoot. No, do what you're good at. I mean, but football's a team game, so it is different. But no, he wanted to do it his way. He couldn't have had a share with me and John because John was so bold and would lead. Bert would never lead; he would follow. 11 or 10 over evens. He couldn't wait till 11 or 10 off. Not laid it. He hadn't laid it, but he couldn't wait to take it off because it's now leave. It's less. That's good for us. Why take it off if you haven't laid it? Well, the others have took it off. We didn't take a lot of money. But value-wise, you know, value. We never lost. We hardly, honest, swear to God, we hardly ever had a losing meeting, me and Bert. I used to come, we had a 60-40 split. I used to come out, I got 85 quid for my whack. I've been at work for like 2 hours, 85 quid. I was a school teacher. I used to get that a month.
You was a school teacher?
Yeah, in them days I was, yeah.
You kept that quiet for this whole interview.
I used to teach physics. I've got a physics degree.
So you decided to get qualified just in case the bookmaking went tits up, was that it?
No, I used to teach physics as a school teacher. I went abroad, and when I come out of university, I went abroad for 2 years. And in the Middle East, I taught in Saudi Arabia. And I came back, and England had changed quite a bit when I came back. They'd done away with grammar schools and all that, you know. So the school I went to was now a comprehensive, thanks to Ken Livingstone. No, I didn't know what to do. I mean, I came back with a few quid. I got a few quid in Saudi Arabia. They used to pay terrific money. But then, you know, you're living in the sand, in the desert. I paid a lot. So I come back, and I got this job as a school teacher with the ILEA. That's with Ken Livingstone was my boss. And he'd done away with grammar schools, he'd done away with privilege, he'd done away with inter-schools football, because it's not fair on the boys who don't get picked. Really, go back and really look it all up. Done away with inter-schools football. We used to have great inter-school football matches when I was at school. My grammar school against the local one, and the one in Edmonton, and several, you know, and we can't wait to play them again next year. He did away with that, Ken Livingstone. It's not fair on the boys who never get picked. You know what that is? Because he never got fucking picked for anything, and he's getting his own back. But yeah, that's what I used to do. I used to teach.
So how long did the school teaching go on in parallel with the bookmaking then?
About 4 years, I suppose. What I used to do was I had a flat in Walthamstow, and that I bought. When I come back from Saudi, I bought a house and converted it into flats, and wasn't very successful at it. Collecting the rent is a painful job. But anyway, I used to go to the school in the morning, do my teaching, and then from that school in Upper Street, I used to go to Haringey Dogs direct. I used to go and have something to eat, and then I'd creep over the dogs 3 nights a week. Well, of course, I knew everyone because they all go to Walthamstow. I knew a lot of the people. So I started going to the dogs every night. I remember I used to write in my little diary, copped 8 quid, copped 12 quid. And I was getting like 40 quid a week at the dogs at Haringey. Not running about, dodging about. Like, Bookmaker would take the favourite off at 6 to 1. Now he's got evens. And I said, do you want a £15 a 10? I said, yeah. I laid him a £15 a 10. I used to do me a little bit of private trading like that. And I used to well win. I used to win more than my wages at the school. At the school, I used to get £65 a month. Yeah. 16 quid a week. That's what I used to get. Not a lot, is it? You could live on that, just about, if you had a cheap flat and a girlfriend who helped you with the rent. But no, and then John, my brother John, and I decided to take my dad over because my dad was getting old. He got old very quickly. Not like me, I'm never going to get old. And we took over that pitch, and it went crash bang wallop. So I reckon we did it in about 4 years, 4 or 5 years top back. We did well at Walthamstow quite quickly. We were steady at the Wick. I got the pitch at Haringey. I won't tell you how I got that. That's a story in its own. I got the pitch at Haringey, and then I got the pitch at the White City, which was unbelievable. I'll tell you how I got that, because they're not in the game anymore, that lot. You can't get pitches. The track have got the pitches, but the track are not allowed by law to interfere in the pitches. So once you've got the pitch, it's the other bookies that control you, not the track. Little bit, not complicated that, but you have to know what's happening. So I had of course I wrote to all the tracks applying for a pitch. Okay. I wrote to the White City, apply for a pitch. I even went out to lunch with one of the directors. Bunny Goff, his name was. Never going to get a pitch. Tony Morris was in there. There's money at the White City. A lot of top Jewish punters went there because the restaurant was nice. They would take their wives there, and there were some good punters. White City. Morris had it like that. My pitch was moved further out, so I was, because of whatever. And I cracked on. I tried to crack on and whatever. Then all of a sudden they shut it, and I've got the pitch at Wembley. Jarvis Astaire owned. You ever heard of Jarvis Astaire? Famous businessman. He bought Wembley, and when the White City shut, he got me and Tony Morris, the two big bookmakers on the White City, to go to Wembley. And we're both going to sponsor a race. I said, well, I'll sponsor the St Ledger. No, Tony wants to sponsor the St Ledger. Well, of course he fucking does, because he's twice as big as the other race, the Blue Riband. So we ended up sponsoring the Blue Riband, and Tony sponsored the White. Tony, well, Piss, where's he going to go? Tony's going to go there, and you're going to go there. I said, I don't want to go there. We're coming on a level basis. If he's going to go there, I'll go there. No, I ended up betting with me back to the Royal Enclosure. No one up there. All down the end where Tony was. So I said to John, you'll have to bet there. I can't bet. I'm going to stay at Haringey, because it was the same nights as Haringey. So John started betting there and cracking away, big. I went over there one night, and the crowd, instead of being all in the middle where they used to be at Wembley, they was all up our end, all on the left wing, all of them, because John used to price up early. He figured that that's what was going to get them up there, so he would price up really early, and all the crowd would be up there. Tony Morris even had a man standing in front of our joint with a microphone, sending the prices back, and when punters went to go in and have a bet with us, he'd pull them and say, what do you want? Fucking, that's cheek. Anyway, that's how that went at Wembley. Difficult, but we crashed away there. There's a lot of money at Wembley. More money at Wembley than any track I've ever been at. But Wembley was big punters at Wembley. When I say big, loads of £500 punters. Loads of them. Wealthy area in North London.
And your figures would look after that, would it? You take loads of them bets and you could sort of...
John would never refuse a bet. I don't remember him ever refusing a bet because it was too big. Or even because the price wasn't there anymore. It'd be even on the bill, even on the rub out the even, the geezer say, even £1,500. I said, yeah, you got that. No, sorry mate, it's 5 to 4 on now. No, he was brilliant on the joint, John.
So what would you say, if you had to pick one moment in your career that was the absolute highlight for you?
What, dog racing?
Anything in your bookmaking career.
Oh, in a bookmaking career, I scored a goal at Hampden Park. I scored 3 goals at Hampden Park.
Go on then, tell us about that.
No, I was a schoolboy footballer. So. As a schoolboy footballer. Well, that was a great event, wasn't it? The showdown. That was a great event. So sad that Skirlo went lame coming out the traps. So sad. Because there's a lovely guy that owned him, Kenny Peckham. And he didn't refuse the race. He should have been a lot harder. He should have said, no way, I'm not going to race Ballyregan Bobber over 710 yards. He said, let's do it over 1,000 yards. And then he should have got Ballyregan up into the 850s, that sort of distance. Would have been a race then. But well, it wouldn't have been a race, would it? Because Skirlo went lame. What a shame. Never see a crowd like that. Never see a crowd like that of the dogs. Mobs. What a hero that dog was. He was a hero. And it's just sad that it happened. Ballyregan Bob did its usual thing, like, broke the track record or something. Terrific dog, Ballyregan Bob. But Skirlow was the people's dog, you know. He was the people's dog.
Okay, well on that note, Tom, thank you very much for talking to us.
Is that it? We haven't had an argument.